Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this edition of SBB Live. I am your host and the publisher of Seniors Blue Book, Amanda Barton. Delighted today to bring on Freya from Robbins Financial. How are you this morning, Freya?
I am fine. How are you doing, Amanda? It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Now, I know that you have Robbins Financial as part of your practice, but you do so much more as well. And what you have a really good story about what led you to your why and why you do what you do. So, I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself and what brought you into the mediation piece of it, as well as Robbins Financial. And then we'll ask you a few more questions about the business.
Great. Very good. I do think it's important to know the why. Why we do what we do, I think is for most of us who are passionate about the work that we do is so important. So my story professionally really begins with a very difficult divorce. I went through a dissolution. We used attorneys. It was very expensive. It was heartbreaking. It was difficult. And out of that, then I became a mediator. And the mediation process is helping families. And as I was mediating these cases, I realized you have to know and understand people's financial status. You have to be able to help them with budgets. You have to understand retirement plans, investments, buying and selling homes, buying and selling businesses. So it's complicated. So I got a specialty certification as it relates to mediation called Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, which helped me help clients because anybody can mediate. Your parents can mediate, your neighbor can mediate, a pastor can mediate, and it's all well and good and well-meaning. But if you don't understand the financial piece of a couple's situation, you really are doing them a disservice if you try to mediate something and you don't understand the implications or the consequences of choices that they might make in the dissolution process. So out of that, I realized as I was working with couples, oh my, so many people have no idea of their financial situation. And oftentimes it's very typical that the woman has really not much clue as to what's going on in the financial piece of their relationship. Oftentimes the man has the relationship with attorneys, accountants, and investment advisors. And so women really need to know this is not even anything to do with a dissolution. And these are the kinds of things I talk about when I do marital mediation, where I work with a couple together and say, maybe we just need to talk about your roles. Maybe, he's always handled this and she's always handled this. And it might be good for him to know how to care for the kids and do their homework and take them to doctor's appointments. And it might be good for her to understand their investments and financial planning, budgeting, and how their taxes work. And maybe even the two of them talk about estate planning issues that they haven't taken care of.
Yeah.
So that really led me, I know,
Yeah.
it really led me into the area of working with couples on their financial planning. So then I got my insurance license for life, annuity, and health back in the early 2000s. And then I got my securities license after that. And because I have a son that has epilepsy, I then became very involved with the special needs community. And I had to know about special needs planning. So I got a certification that's called Chartered Needs Special Consultant for families who have, whether it's someone young or old who has special needs, because you have to know about things like disability, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. Mm-hmm. It's all encompassing. And unless you have been through something like that yourself, you have no idea how complicated it can be.
Yeah.
And from my perspective of being someone who has been through that, it helped me so much to be able to talk to someone who had the experience and who could say, Freya, I know exactly what you're going through and I can help you. So
definitely. Now you touched on one thing. You said you've gone into this conversation where you even start talking about estate planning. When you're talking with your older clients about retirement, what are some of the things that you give as far as advice in that regard?
Yeah. So when I'm talking with a couple about financial planning, I'm going to help them look at what do they have and where are they trying to get to. It's much like going on a trip. Before we take a trip somewhere, we're looking at how long is it going to take us to get there? What mode of transportation are we going to use? Plane, train, automobile? What's it going to cost when we get there? What are we going to do? And our financial trip in life, it can change. And it's important to take a snapshot from time to time. And we look at that with the clients that I work. We look at, annually, quarterly, 5 years out. We're looking at short term, we're looking at long term. A couple that's not ready for retirement yet are going to have different needs and goals that someone that's closer to retirement or in the retirement phase. So we sit down and do a very thorough, comprehensive review of what do you have and what are the goals? Where would you like to get to? And so we go through that entire process with the couple.
Yeah, and everyone really needs to start planning very early in life for that piece of the next phase of their life, because it is quite expensive. Is there any advice that you have on, getting started with financial planning, and what are some of the things that you really need to know about as far as like life insurance? I know there's so many different policies now. There's hybrid policies. What is some advice that you would give to someone that's like just getting started, or maybe they're getting started a little later in life, but they need to get it going?
I think, first of all, it's important to make a plan. I mean, to sit down with someone and do it. And I think the apprehension is always, I haven't done it yet. I don't know if I have enough money. I don't really know what questions to ask. Oftentimes we, as purchasers of those types of things, feel inadequate and we don't want to look stupid. And I say, there are no stupid questions. It's really a matter of I love to be able to educate people. And I speak to them in layman's terms. I don't talk above their head. I help them understand. And if I'm working with a couple where the one party is more educated than the other one, I really work to help bring that person along so they understand. So now they can really be part of the team in terms of decision making. But it's never too late and it's never too early. Someone in college should be establishing wills. They should be establishing life insurance. So I'll use myself as an example. I was 25 years old. I was working for AT&T. I had insurance with them. I was the picture of health at 25. I was diagnosed with bone cancer at 25. I found myself worrying about whether I was going to live. I was in the hospital for 2 full months, flat on my back. I was no longer insurable. If I left that company, I could not get insurance. So I would have been like the poster child for the person who should have had a lot of things in place, but I didn't think there was any reason to. I didn't think that there was a worry. I was 25 and I was in perfect health. So college.
Yeah.
Yes. And for families who are planning for their children, whether they be special needs or not, once you have a child, you should be sitting down with a good financial advisor who can help you plan for your children and your life.
Yeah. Well, thank God you're okay.
Yes.
And you're right. We never think it's going to happen to us. So it's good to learn from your experiences. And I'm sure that you give your clients the best advice because of what you've gone through. So I just want to thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you for sharing your story. Anybody that's interested in talking with you, we're going to make sure they have your chat information loaded right up with this video.
Oh, wonderful.